Your focus on the Cubs, has it dominated your entire sports brain, or are you allowing yourself to think about football yet, Mike?
It's funny you ask that. So I'm going to name drop, but this is not name drop because the two people I'm going to mention are two dear friends of mine and of your show. I had dinner last night here in Arizona with Charles Barkley and Larry Fitzgerald. And for people who don't know, Larry's dad is a South Sider, and Larry is a Chicagoan once removed. His grandparents are Chicago. Larry came to spend his summers in Chicago. Larry identifies, even though he grew up in Minnesota, very strongly with Chicago and all things Chicago. And so at one point, we're talking about baseball because people have no idea that Charles Barkley is as big a baseball fan as he is. And people in their 60s, we all grew up with baseball first. That's just the truth of the matter. But Charles looks over at Larry and says, all right, is Caleb going to be great? And I'm like, no, stop. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I don't want to get into that now. And luckily the conversation veered off into a different area. And we actually talked a lot about baseball and about the NBA and where salaries are going and where the value of franchises is going. And these are two guys who made their livings in professional sports at different times, a generation apart. Charles reminded us that his first contract was like $400,000, which of course is what a freshman gets for NIL money.
Right,
now.
Exactly.
And so we veered off into that. And I don't want to. I just, you know what? When camp starts, I'll be ready to.
It's a long season. You got to. You know what? You got to conserve some energy.
I will say this, because it was a compliment. And I probably shouldn't say it because, of course, these dinners are off the record. Totally, they're not even acknowledged. Usually, they shouldn't even acknowledge we had the dinner. But Larry Fitzgerald loves Ben Johnson. Loves him.
What's not to love?
That was cool that a guy who's going to wear a gold jacket in a year or so, whenever Larry gets inducted, is, just thinks the world of the Bears' new head coach. And so I didn't want to talk about football. It's too early. What do we got? When does camp start?
I think the rookies report in 10 days, 10, 11 days, something like that. So,
that's soon?
Oh, yeah. Mike, there is an NFL game this month. The Hall of Fame game will be played in the month of July.
Yeah, I know, because the Bears did this last year.
Yeah. By the way, how funny is it, or how Larry's son, Jerome Bettis' son,
to Notre Dame,
and I believe Plaxico Burress' son, and Jermichael Finley's son, they're all going to be freshmen at Notre Dame next year.
Yeah,
oh my
gosh! I know.
Yeah.
Congratulated Larry.
Thomas
on that
Davis
last
as well.
night.
I believe his son is going to be there as well.
Wait, who was the last person you said?
Thomas Davis.
Thomas Davis. Wow. Bettis obviously has the most to have his whole shirt popping off his chest, given that he's a domer. And Bettis is one of my favorite people that I've ever met in sports, and I'm really happy for him and for Larry, who are, they're a half generation removed, but they're old school, tough dudes whose sons grew up. Yeah. I've seen in part the way their sons grew up the right way, with demanding, tough fathers and mothers in the case of these kids. So good for them. We talked a little bit about that last night, about sons and Larry's son and my son being the same age and what they're doing. And we talked about AAU and all the stuff that parents talk about. But I was ready to talk about anything except can we just give it 3 more weeks? Do we have 3 weeks before we start?
Yeah. All right, so we'll table that. Before we let you go, there is NBA Summer League action. Have you been watching it? Tonight, I guess Cooper Flagg gets his first taste of it.
I know.
You're going to watch, aren't you?
It's going to come on after the Cubs and Twins are done out here. What time is Cooper Flagg on?
I believe it's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock
Central. Yeah.
It'll be late in the Cubs game by then. I'll watch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna watch. So if I was moving around and not recuperating from some foot surgeries, I would be in Vegas. I would have gone up.
Really?
to Vegas.
Yeah.
There are always enough degenerates here in the desert who will move around and say, you want to drive up to Vegas and go to Summer League? And the first thing you scream is, no, I'm not doing that.
Next thing you know, you're packing your bags.
You're in a gym. You're sitting in the gym watching, 20 kids you never heard of. Actually, you know what's cool now is that because the rookies and some of the second-year players play, like, is Buzelis playing? He's not playing Summer League, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he is.
See, I would go just because I want to see. Listen, I will tell you guys this, just from covering the playoffs. I wasn't at the finals, but 3 rounds of the playoffs, and then listening to scouts and stuff, and being in Chicago during the combine. Buzelis is one of the people, single-digit number of players that folks are most interested in seeing.
That's good to hear.
What's next?
Yeah.
And so, is that where getting your hopes up for? I don't know. I'm kind of scared, but I've had, and Tommy, I may have told you with Sylvie this off air. I'll say it now on air. I've had players, active NBA players, say to me in the last month or two. Let's go 3 months. In the last 3 months, they've said, "Hey, that kid, your rookie, that kid can play."
Yeah.
I mean, first line starter, all-star NBA players. And they think they're interested to see if he's one of those guys who takes the next step.
And can be the face of a franchise.
And can be the face of a franchise. Yeah. But, I'm reminded that this, it was kind of like this with Markkanen. And then he was just hurt all the time, and I wanted him out.
Yeah. I
wound up hating him because the guy had 30 and 20 on opening night once. And then he was out of the lineup for like 4 months. It's like, that guy can't be the face that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The guy that we're talking about has got to play. So if I was going up to Vegas, or if I can still go up on the last few days, I'd like to go up to see whether or not he's going to be something more.
Hey, final. Do you believe the Bulls are handling the Giddey thing correctly?
Man, this is a hard one. That's a great question.
I mean, do you give him the $30 million, that he wants?
Because I do. Here's why. I talked about what we talked about last night about money and what's sustainable. Remember this. So Joker just said no to whatever he said because next year, if he says yes, next year, if he puts it off, it's going to mean an additional 77. He's going to get like $77 million in a year. So Luka is going to be maybe that guy who's a $100 million player. So the rights fees, the media rights fees have gone up so much, and there's a floor. You have to spend it. That $30 million is not a lot. $30 million today isn't even what $30 million was 2 seasons ago.
Right. Yeah.
$30 million is like, okay, he's a pretty good player. So give him the money. I mean, you got to look at what is going to happen. Look at what Chet Holmgren just signed for today. $250 million extension.
It's crazy.
So let's just do the math. I mean, $30 million? Really? Like, that's not going to break the bank. Nobody's bank. Right. If you can't spend the 30 on a guy who could be your third best player, then I'm not sure you're in the right space.
I gotcha. All right, Mike, great stuff as always. If you get a chance to go up to Vegas and watch some Summer League basketball, call us, okay?
I'll be a correspondent. I'll report in.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Be well on the mend.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Absolutely.
Michael Wilbon.
Thank you.